You sure you're ready for this?
I'll do my best.
Your best? Losers always whine about their best. Winners go home and the prom queen.
Welcome to the best soccer show, the best soccer show in the whole world.
Here we go, best soccer show, North American Soccer Network, NASN.TV. Jason Davis, Jared DuBois, live coming at you Sunday night. Sunday night, worst timing ever. Worst possible timing ever.
No, tell me about it. There's people walking the red carpet right now, and I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, see, look, this is how this world is prioritized in this little bubble that we live in. Just so everybody knows. Okay, I don't think it's any secret that I like American football as well as soccer. That I'm a passionate gridiron fan, hand egg, whatever dumb name you want to give it.
That's pretty dumb name.
My team is playing right now as we speak, and yet we scheduled this show around Jared DuBois' red carpet Golden Globe watching party.
In my defense, I put my bid in for the time before you put your bid in for the time.
You did. I just didn't realize it was a negotiation. But we're live. We're here. We're going to talk soccer. It's going to be a fun time. Don't worry. I'm good. I'm engaged. There's plenty to talk about tonight. We are live. Our phone lines are open, 201-430-2378. So anything you want to get in on for the show, and I'm going to, you can jump in right here. I think, look, the Michael Bradley thing is still out there, right? And still bouncing around, and people are still processing it. But I think that this thing that came out in the last week in terms of the TV contract with MLS, which is not a done deal. This is all rumor. Speculation. It's all filtering through various sources that might know what they're talking about. It's all kind of tied up because the CBA negotiations are coming up, Jared. So let's talk about TV. Let's talk about MLS on TV. Right now, I don't think anybody's got any complaints as to the way MLS is presented on television, right?
NBC. No, I think NBC has set the bar very high in terms of what MLS fans expect for soccer in general. I think outside of ESPN's World Cup coverage, NBC has shown how to take those same standards and bring it to a week in, week out production value that's high enough that I think every American fan has a new standard set. They won't accept anything less. Now, they're not really going to have an option. Whoever pays the most is going to get it. But I think if Fox and or ESPN, who are the parties rumored to be joined up to get MLS's rights, if they don't provide a quality similar to that of NBC, I think there might be a little bit of pitchforks involved.
Okay, yeah, on the part of the fans that do watch every national game. But here's the problem, okay, as I see it, in terms of the complaints that have cropped up in light of the news that Fox and ESPN are the new tag team for MLS from 2015 on. And by the way, the length of this reported contract, 8 years. Okay, we'll get to that, what that means and why it's happening in just a second. But everybody complaining about the shift from NBC to Fox, and people do not have a high opinion of Fox, and it's built on a couple of things. One, Fox Soccer Channel, which was a disaster, was public access level quality. Okay, so that's hard.
Which is even more impressive when you think about how much U.S. soccer fans owe to Fox for so long, being the only party involved in soccer broadcasting in the U.S.
Yes, of course. There is a debt to owe to Fox Soccer Channel. Doesn't mean people don't recognize that they were bad at what they did in terms of presenting MLS. And that's no slight against some of the people that worked over there. They had some good names, some good people attached to the product. It just wasn't a good presentation. Now so the move to NBC was a progress on that front. But the thing about it is the ratings on NBC have not been good, right? And I'm being kind here. They've been terrible. They've been abysmal. They've been ridiculous, bad.
But they're par for the course for MLS. They haven't been any worse there than they were for Fox.
Maybe, and that's fine. And if you want to point that out that they're not really any different, then that's fine. But that's part of the reason MLS fans have no right to complain about the shift to Fox.
So, which begs the question that everyone wants answered: why is it now worth $70 million a year?
Okay, you're getting to the other point that we have to talk about, and that's the price that's coming with this. Reports are that this is an average of $70 million a year. Again, over an 8-year contract. That is a very long contract. It obviously is much longer than what we've had in the recent past. Here's what I think, okay? First of all, it does boggle the mind a little bit that that's going to average $70 million a year for a product that brings in 0.00001 ratings, okay? But Live sports are at the cost of live sports is at a premium because of the trends in television.
The DVR factor.
DVR generation. That has changed the way people watch television. Live sports stand to benefit on that front. And I think MLS
it's one of the few things on TV that people watch live anymore.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's that. There's also the fact that Fox is getting into the soccer business for real again. You want to say it again. And even more so because they've got the rights to the 2018 and 2022 World Cup. They want to set themselves up. They want to get in their time. They want to push. Now they got Champions League, and I'm not sure where the next Champions League contract
is.
I
get Gus Johnson some reps.
And here's the other part of this. U.S. men's national team games are included in this, as they've always been. But I believe a lot of the chatter is that there's going to be a split. Whereas ESPN had all of those qualifiers before, there may be a split here coming. And Fox is going to get them some of those home qualifiers or U.S. men's national team qualifiers. I guess home, yeah, because that's the only ones that they control the rights to.
Only the home ones, yeah.
And that would be that would be a boon to Fox because those are the big ratings numbers. And then the other thing is, the length of the contract speaks to the fact that MLS is willing to get a bigger dollar amount on the front end with the possibility that the ratings go up and MLS gets bigger and better, and they'll lose some money on the back end in terms of value, if you know what I mean.
Well, I think this is kind of par for the course for Don Garber. He's not willing. He's more than willing to take a hit for a long-term goal, a long-term advantage. If you look just back to the NBC sports package that's been very short, a year now, or just over a year now with them. It took less money than was on the table to try to get a better product on the television. Now, granted, like I said, now NBC Sports has set that standard. Now I think he's trying to get back into the big market game, get the money, and now he's kind of set for ESPN and Fox what the level needs to be for presentation. Now, whether or not they can come good on that, I think Don Garber has shown a propensity to kind of take a hit here and there if it means a long-term goal is reached.
Right, and I already said that MLS fans cannot complain about the move to Fox when the ratings have been so poor. But the other thing they shouldn't be complaining about is the move to Fox because it's bringing in so much more money. Now,
yeah, I was gonna say, do you like Michael Bradley in your league? Do you like Clint Dempsey in your league?
Right, but here's the thing now. Okay, so this is a league that is doing well at the gate and is growing on that front and is now bringing in talent like Clint Dempsey, Michael Bradley, Jermaine Defoe. And the DP thing is becoming a real driver of interest in the league. But if you're going to bring in $70 million a year on average from your television contract, you sign up for 8 years with Fox and ESPN, you better put that money back into the product.
I think that comes down to what, $3.3 or $3.5 million per team, just TV rights alone, not the gate, nothing else, just TV rights alone. Okay,
you're also not factoring in the U.S. soccer portion of this. I mean,
that's true.
Exactly how this works out in terms of who gets what. But what I'll say is, regardless of what the individual breakdown is, MLS needs to make a good faith gesture to the players and to their fans when they go back into those CBA negotiations coming up, and they need to say, look, yeah, we're bringing in some more cash, and we made these moves to pay Bradley $6.5 million a year, whatever. We're going to increase the salary cap by, and here's the question: what's the magic number? Give me a percentage.
It's so hard to know behind the veil of secrecy that MLS operates behind. We'd have no idea what in terms, like you just said, we don't even know what proportion of the $70 million a year is going to directly to MLS, to the teams.
I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah, all I know is that it's going to go up. I have no idea of learning how. Here's the other thing: the salary cap can't go up as much if you do things like authorize a fourth designated player per team. So now, I guess it has to go up a certain amount because now you're going to have 4 players at a maximum of $500,000 a possibility that you can maybe have on your payroll.
There's a lot of ways you can look at it in terms
right now. What is it? $1.2 million per I can't remember what's the salary cap right now per team.
Oh, it's 2.1.
I might have my numbers mixed up. I switched around.
Look, I mean, it's been going up slowly as per the CBA over the last couple of years. I want to say it's in the 2.75 range. Maybe it's 2.3. Maybe you're right on that.
Okay, so let's say just for to make the math easy, let's say the television rights cover whatever your salary cap is right now. Okay, after you give a chunk of that to U.S. Soccer or whatever, like I say, it could be 3.3 if you took no U.S. Soccer. U.S. Soccer takes a cut. Now everyone's down to around 2.75 million or something like that per team.
Okay.
You can cover your existing salary cap just with your TV rights alone, which means the gate is all profit.
Right. Well, okay. I don't want to get down into the nitty gritty and line items. By the way, per Wikipedia, it's 2.95 this year, so it's nearly $3 million this year. That's again, I'm not second sourcing this, so if I'm wrong about it, I apologize. And I'm not a capologist. I think that there needs to be 75% increase on the salary cap.
75%.
Yeah, I think they need to push this as close to $5 million as they possibly can. If it's nearly at 3 now, and you're bringing in $70 million a year in TV money that nobody expected to see. Let's remember, when they went into these negotiations, it was doom and gloom, and the clouds were gray, and oh my gosh, they're going to get hosed on this deal. They're going to have to go to YouTube and Google, and they're going to have to find some other way to maximize. No. They came.
Well, I'm saying, okay, so the NBC contract was somewhere in the $20-something million range, right? I believe this is going to be a threefold increase over what they were getting from NBC.
It's total.
Roughly.
I mean, remember, it's total.
Roughly.
Those two main English language broadcasters, NBC or ESPN and Fox, whereas it was NBC and ESPN before. And I don't believe that this counts Unimas or any of the.
Okay, so my point in saying that though is that a certain number of teams, not many, turned a profit this year with that smaller TV rights package. If you're going to increase the TV rights package by threefold, you can probably afford to do the salary cap in a similar percentage as that.
Again, you say not many teams made a profit. Do you know this?
That's what has been. I've seen reported. I'm sorry. None of us know it. That's the point.
Yeah, okay, but here's the question. This speaks to the lack of. And I'm not saying that MLS needs to be transparent on these business issues.
I believe Don Garber said that. I think it was at either the All-Star Game or MLS Cup or something like that. One of his speeches.
He said that most teams are still losing money. What reasoning? And remember that accounting is sometimes more an art than a science. What reason would Don Garber have for saying that more MLS teams are losing money than making money?
To keep the CBA negotiations low.
To set the stage for his CBA negotiations to go the way he wants them to, or at least to give him as much of an advantage as possible going into that room.
It's the only thing he has going in his favor in terms. If you believe that Don Garber wants to keep the salary cap low, the only thing he has in his advantage right now is that statistic, because every other statistic is on the rise financially in terms of transfer fees finally being paid out, wages at the highest level being paid out, TV rights, every other thing, expansion, every other thing that he can point to is in the player's favor. There's that one statistic he's holding on to right now. That is in his camp.
My point isn't that my point isn't that he's right, wrong, or he's lying, or he's not. My point is you can't swallow that as a whole truth. That's all I'm saying. So when you go into a statement, these teams aren't making money, but all I'm saying is we don't know.
Yeah, but I don't feel bad for them though, because this is of their own making. By like I said, operating under a veil where no one gets to see the numbers. We can only keep if the numbers could be out there, we could all say, oh, Don Garber's completely right. This is exactly where the MLS stands. Because they operate from such a secretive standpoint financially, have to I don't feel bad for him when he has this one thing going for him.
Okay, but again, the business aspects are different than the way that the league runs operation, like in terms of competition. So salary cap stuff and like who's hitting the cap at what amounts and what allocation money everybody has, that's different. That transparency I'm down with. When it comes to business, they need to disclose this to the players. I don't need to know who's making, from a journalistic standpoint, I'd love to know. But the average fan doesn't need to know who's making money and who's not. They just need to trust that the league
is. You say that, but how many times do you hear average fans talk about A-Rod's salary and all that? It matters to them.
Salaries are different. Again, I'm not talking about salaries. I'm talking about pure business we're in the red, we're in the black. I'm talking about bottom line operational business stuff, because that's ultimately this is a private business. They have no legal reasoning. They're under no obligation to disclose any of that. So, I mean, from a legal standpoint. So
what I find really interesting, though, is that for the second time in 6 months, once again, the MLS owners as a group decided to pool money together to bring another high-profile signing in Michael Bradley. That just shows you how healthy things or how much they believe in the product. Because we know the salary cap, I'm saying the transfer fee is not paid by the individual team; it's paid by the league.
Are we positive about that, by the way?
That's once again what are we positive about in MLS? To be honest with you,
but see, are you saying that off of the Dempsey transfer? Or are you saying that because
of the Dempsey transfer, it was reported that the entire league pays for the transfer fee.
In the Dempsey transfer, the league paid the $9 million transfer fee.
So it stands to reason that a precedent has been set that that's the way to operate.
Why? It's MLS.
Why would Toronto ever put down $9 million of their own money when Seattle got a bailout?
I don't know. And did they pay for Jermaine Defoe's transfer fee all by themselves, which was what, $10 million?
It feels like you can't operate one way and then turn around and make another team pay for their entire transfer fee themselves. They've set the precedent now.
I'm with you on that in terms of, again, but
you're right in that I can't prove it. You're right.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's from a competition standpoint, it would make sense. Okay, look, if they stepped up and paid Dempsey's fee to get him to Seattle, and Dempsey and Seattle's paying the DP contract, then it would make sense that Toronto is getting help from the league, and they probably are. I just don't know how much. And they're
especially when you hear that reported that Philadelphia Union wanted to put a bid in for Bradley as well. It was known around the league that he, like Dempsey, hey, who wants to put the money up for this player, and then we'll talk to the player on your behalf.
That's another thing about this whole process that's been interesting is, and it's the same with Dempsey. I mean, again, the league is built to avoid bidding wars, right? So is there any chance that Michael Bradley was offered around the league and that there was some kind of bidding war within the league for him? Or was it simply Toronto was the only one that was really willing to pay money it would take to get him out of
This
Rome?
Is just more proof to me, or more evidence to me, that I was against Omar Gonzalez DP signing when it happened. You're looking at the level of DPs being brought in right now, or being rumored to be brought in, and LA Galaxy used a DP signing for Omar Gonzalez. Which is a great defender in this league. But when you think of the midfielders are being talked about, the strikers are being talked about, the big level names that could bring in funding to your team, I think the Omar Gonzalez DP signing is kind of a waste for LA. Because one of the biggest players in MLS financially is out of the market for this transfer window, which has been one of the biggest transfer windows ever for MLS.
Yeah, I know. You always manage somehow to bring it back to your boys and to make it about your team. And look,
I'm sorry, it's one of the big players in the league.
No, I realize that, and what you could argue, you certainly can argue that LA is missing out on an opportunity if MLS is suddenly splat. And let's think about this for a second in terms of, and I said it when we got together on Wednesday and we had the open phone lines, and by this point in the show we had like 150 calls on Michael Bradley. The world flipped upside down the day that Michael Bradley was coming to MLS. The world flipped upside down, and part of that is remember when MLS was never going to pay a transfer fee? Like, just it didn't that
was the rule.
There was you're not going to pay it, and then it was okay. Well, we'll pay a little bit of transfer fees, and you got to tack it.
Do you remember the days where MLS wouldn't take loan players? We're not a loan league.
Well, that's still true to an extent, and I think they still mandate a buy option on the loans that come in. But just the fact that they're spending $10 million and $10 million and $9 million and whatever Robbie Keane cost, I don't know. It's just kind of stunning. The phone lines are open. 201-430-2378 is the phone number. If you want to get it.
While we're talking to the big players and the financial players in MLS, and I just want to talk real quick about Tim Lewicki. Am I the only one that sees it as a foregone conclusion that a couple of years from now, when Beckham's MLS team in Miami is ready to go, and this is a team that's going to need more high-profile names than any other team probably ever in MLS just to legitimize the sexiness of MLS in Miami? Okay. Isn't Tim Lewicki, Beckham's boy, going to be helming that team in a couple of years? Isn't that a foregone conclusion?
No, I don't think.
And is there any other guy you would want if you're Beckham other than Tim Lewicki with the track record he is set now?
He's your first choice, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you say that Miami is going to need more high-profile players than anybody else in the history of the league to legitimize soccer in MLS in Miami. Well, NYCFC is going to be in that group as well. They've got to make some kind of splash in New York. I mean, Jason Christ had his introductory press conference on Friday in New York. I mean, it was kind of I don't know. I mean, from what I saw, what I heard, I mean, he kind of thanked a bunch of people, talked about the challenge.
Now, I don't necessarily understand the structure yet behind NYCFC. Is Claudio Reyna going to be the one in charge of player acquisition?
It's a good question. I don't know.
I don't know that either. I'm not sure who's going to be the guy, because if you have Tim Lewicki on one side of the bargaining table and you have Claudio Reyna on the other side of the bargaining table, and you're trying to bring in a blue chip player from overseas, I think Claudio Reyna gets bulldozed.
Well, I mean, look.
Cash means a lot too. I get that. There's a lot. Cash means a lot.
It's about money. When Claudio
New York means a lot too.
When Claudio Reyna looks over his shoulder and the guy standing behind him ready to write the check is a sheik. I mean, yeah, that's some heft. That's a club that he can bring to that table. And Tim Lewicki will do his damnedest to keep up and have. I mean, look again. Here's the thing. Not that I really care. I mean, I'm going to give Tim Lewicki credit because he has clearly decided that TFC is going to make a serious run at being a legitimate and relevant MLS team, as they should be. But, if the whole Bradley thing came together like the Dempsey thing came together, and MLS HQ picked up the phone and said, hey, Columbus Crew, do you want Michael Bradley? Philadelphia Union, do you want Tim Lewicki, hey, do you want Michael Bradley? Oh, you do? Okay.
Okay, back up the truck.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like maybe it fell in his lap, but look, he made it happen. And by all reports, it came together in a day. That's how the people I know who are in tune with player movement in Europe, especially Americans, that's how
surprise so much.
They were taken by absolute surprise because it came together so fast. It never happens that way. And we talked about it on Wednesday. What does that mean about Michael Bradley's thought process? But we actually started this whole thing talking about TV, talking about MLS on TV. And whatever you want to say about Fox, first of all, they have a reason to get better, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Second of all, the money makes it worth it for me, as long as it is reinvested in MLS, right? As long as it's reinvested in player salaries.
I felt the same way about the Adidas contract back in the day when that was signed with the league. And now I'm hating the fact that Adidas is putting out BS kits all over the place in MLS. And I wish now they had a way out. I wish it wasn't such a long-term deal with Adidas. But I remember at the time when it was announced, like, great deal. That's money locked up in the bank.
Here's what I'll say. The saving grace with the 8-year contract term, which again sounds like an epically long time. I mean, that's when they start the contract in 2015, that takes them through 2023. It takes them through both World Cup cycles that Fox has. What I will say is that if and when it is clear that MLS is worth more as a product, if they have taken that step, if the ratings get high or higher, and somehow MLS becomes more valuable, then you will see Fox and probably ESPN go back into the negotiating room and say, look, yeah, we know we've got 3 years, 4 years, whatever it is, and tear it up and say, let's try this again. We know we don't want to lose you, and maybe they'll re-up for another 5 or whatever, and MLS will make it. I'm just saying that
what I see more of it turning into is MLS has said that we're going to grow the league this much, and we don't want to grow much more than this for the next 8 years, or we're not planning to grow much more than this for the next 8 years, because it's the number one place you get money is television rights.
Yes, but they're in a position where beggars cannot be choosers right now.
I get that, but by doing this, they're also putting a cap on how much they can financially grow in the next 8 years.
No, what they're saying is we need this money now to even get to a point where we are that valuable in the next 8 years. That's what they're saying. Right?
Eric? But there's a possibility for lethargy on the back end.
There is, but you're making a lot of assumptions if it's just an automatic that MLS is so much more valuable in 8 years that this contract is stupid. That's all I'm saying. Vince, you're on the air. What's up, man?
Oh, hey guys, how's it going?
It's going. What's up?
Oh, just had a quick question for you guys. With the money being thrown around by these more high profile teams, and the CBA renegotiations and everything, do you see perhaps that parity that MLS is known for, perhaps being lessened by the Seattles, the New Yorks, the Torontos, perhaps, being able to get these high level players while teams like Philadelphia may not necessarily be able to compete?
Maybe.
Here's the thing. If we go back to the point I made earlier, if the league is paying these transfer fees, these smaller teams can get partially in the mix. Because then it's just an issue of wage. Can they afford the wage? If the league is going to keep giving the handouts for transfer fees, some of these teams can actually compete. They probably wouldn't be able to if they had to put up both.
Well, but again, are we clear on, this is transparency. Are we clear on what kind of player qualifies for this league assisted transfer fee fund?
I'm not.
No, I have no idea. Now, again, maybe it was Dempsey's going to cost $9 million. If we don't spend it, we don't get him. We'll help Seattle out. Mike Bradley is going to cost $10 million. If we don't spend it, we don't get him. Here's $10 million. What is where does MLS fall on who rises to that level? That's the question. We don't know the answer to that, Vince. I will say this, that yes, I think that you could see the league stretch out a little bit, but MLS is going to do everything that they can in the next couple of years, despite the fact that there's this sudden urge to pay for players like Bradley and Dempsey and Defoe. And despite the fact that there's going to be more money in the TV they're going to do everything they can to maintain parity. I don't know how exactly, but they will try. Right?
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Anything else, man?
When you get to it, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that leaked U.S. jersey. And
I was just looking at a picture of it right now.
It is on there. By the way, let's before we get to the thanks for the call, Vince. Before we get to the leaked U.S. jersey, the latest rumor in terms of a big name coming to MLS is Xavi coming.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now,
which I love.
Okay, now of course, it's hard not to like the idea of Xavi in MLS. Now remember that he's not a goal scorer. He's not a guy who's going to come out and make you look sexy in the final third necessarily. Now, if you put the pieces in front of him, he'll make you that much better. Is Xavi the type of player? Now, this may be a situation where his contract runs out of Barcelona and then he's free to sign. So
yeah, the only downside to all the Xavi talk is he turns 34 in like 2 weeks. And he'll be 34 if that was to happen and he was to come to New York Red Bulls. But he's the type of player whose style of play can play well into his 30s. He's a knock-around, pass-the-ball guy. Look at Valderrama. How long did Valderrama play in this league, playing a very similar style to what Xavi does?
Yeah, but here's the problem with Xavi, as I say it. And by the way, again, it's New York Red Bulls. I guess if you have a Dax McCarty right there next to him doing the dirty work, it may work. But this is not a league that necessarily will let you be. Not that Xavi Xavi won't run, but you can't be sort of not a stationary passer. You can't be that guy who's. I don't know.
Here's what I'll say regarding what you're talking about right now is that New York Red Bulls tried a much more bootleg version of that this season with Juninho.
Yes.
And Dax McCarty did a whole lot of work behind Juninho. And what did they get out of it?
Nothing.
So not to say that Xavi isn't better than Juninho, absolutely. But that does legitimize your thought on that a little bit in that you got to do something. This is a league that prides itself on fitness and making sure that you hustle. But I think Xavi would just pick apart this league if he was given the opportunity.
You would think so. And Xavi is going to play a deeper role than Juninho did. I mean, that was the thing about Juninho. He's kind of got to be in the hole to be as effective as you want him.
Here's another reason why I want it, though, Jason. Like he would instantly be the #1 most technical player that's ever played in MLS.
Yes.
I want kids growing up in MLS to know who Xavi is, research him, see him play. Even if you're seeing an older version of him, know who this guy is because we need to breed this player so badly.
Okay. I see it. I see it. I am not a retirement league guy. I mean, I don't want this league to feel like a retirement league. I mean, it helps, and it's an argument against the whole concept of the retirement league when Michael Bradley comes here at 26. And Jermaine Defoe is 31 and not 35. But again, I don't know. That's I guess for a guy like Xavi, you make an exception. But again, it's still going to be there. The feeling that this is a retirement league. 30.
He'll be 34 on January 25th. Yeah, that's why I said in 2 weeks he'll be 34. Dirty producer getting in on the action, trying to correct me.
The other thing, the thing that Vince mentioned, the leaked U.S. national team supposed home jersey for the World Cup. This is another rumor. I'm gonna put a big maybe on it. I don't know if this is actually the thing. This could be a this could be a fake. It could be completely wrong. Have you seen what we're talking about though?
Yeah, I've seen it. I mean, it's a very minimal shirt, and honestly, my take on it looks like something a tennis pro would wear.
Okay, I'm not going to doubt that. It's
very polo-ish. It looks like what the team wears when they board a bus.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. Yeah, it definitely has a. It looks like the type of thing a coach would wear with wind pants.
Yes, I absolutely agree with you on that. I said on Twitter earlier, it's the type of shirt I expect to see the sweatshirt of the U.S. national team tied in a knot around the neck and worn above. It's so Connecticut, this shirt.
It's bad because it's boring, basically.
I like it. You're talking to a guy. I enjoy minimal. I like minimal. I think but it's
I like
done.
clean.
It's done in kind of an '80s like John Hughes like wardrobe kind of way that I'm just not that. And it goes back to the old U.S. crest, which I've been on record saying Centennial crest forever and ever and ever would look so much better.
For whatever reason, wasn't going to happen. They've already made that.
When you go with this look that's here right now, and you put that '80s crest on it, it goes so retro, like not in a cool way.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. I hope
I do like the inlay under the collar though, at the stripe, at the stars.
Apparently, someone at Nike, maybe they had a meeting. I don't know how long it took. This could have been like a 3-day meeting to figure out. Oh, the color for the United States is going to be white. I mean, I guess that's the case, right? The USA is just going to be white. Why? What?
I'm okay with that too. But if you do it, you got to do something accent-wise. Now, listen, I see in the close-up image there is a little bit of a pinstripe, like a horizontal pinstripe in there, but I don't think it's enough to really give it any kind of pop or flair. So I don't know. I just like to see something a little bit different. And if you believe, I think it was, I can't remember if it was Greg Seltzer or if it was Soccer Over. Oh, no, it's actually Todo Sobre Camistas, the site that broke this story, saying that the away kit has a lot more out there. Like it's a lot more out there than the home kit. So we'll see what that has to do. But I'm kind of underwhelmed if this is the case.
But isn't the home kit supposed to be your that's your headline grabber? That's your marquee thing. That's the one.
Yeah, but if you're Nike and you want to sell shirts, you want something that's a little bit vanilla that appeals to everybody.
No, you don't. No, well, I mean, vanilla is relative. I mean, I don't know. Vanilla. I don't think you should ever decide to go with boring because that appeals to a lot of people. A lot of people are gonna go, "That's boring. Why do I buy it?"
Why isn't every team's third kit their first kit? The third kit's the risky one. It's the one that you might sell, and it's a risky one.
There's a difference between risk and making it look, giving it some kind of actual, notable appearance. I mean, let's say what you want about the Where's Waldo kit. It was interesting. It was a look. Yeah, it was a thing. I was down with it. I thought it could have been an iconic type of thing for the U.S. Red and white hoops. Let's do this. We've got that in our flags. We've got the stripes let's do this. But I
think what may have happened here is that the Centennial jersey had such good. I mean, I've never seen as broad acceptance of a U.S. jersey as I did the Centennial ones that came out recently. And I think they tried to stay similar to that and just change the crest over, keep it minimal. And I think it went a little bit too bland here. But we'll see we'll see when it becomes official. And it might look better on a player.
We don't know if this is exactly it. That's right. We don't know that this is exactly the kit that we're going to get for the World Cup. But I think that right now, I mean, when these things get leaked out there, I don't know how often they're right and how often they're wrong because I'm not in the kit culture. I'm not that guy. But, I have a feeling.
Scarf culture.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have a collection. Yeah. You're lucky I'm not wearing. I do have an NFL scarf. You're lucky I'm not wearing.
They make those?
Yeah, they do.
Is it just for cold weather towns, or is it like a piece that people like soccer where it's connected to it?
It's one of those things. It's one of those things they definitely took. Like they definitely bit on soccer style for these NFL scarves. Just like you'll see occasionally you'll see a tifo at an NFL game. Have you ever seen this? And 9 times out of 10, in fact, I think every single time,
stealing the name of their sport wasn't enough. They got to take other stuff too.
Well, there's all of the NFL tifo are like fan or team organized or league organized. It's one of those deals like there's a card on your seat, and when we tell you to hold it up, you hold it up kind of thing.
And the card has like sponsored by Anheuser-Busch on the bottom of it.
That's exactly right. Where it feels completely different from what.
By the way, if Anheuser-Busch would like to sponsor this show, I would not have any problem with
that. We are fans of the king of beers and the money that they have there at Anheuser.
Oh, Trevor with his craft beer snobbery will not take the king of beers money. For some reason, I think he would.
You think he would take it? You think he'd
actually? God, yes. Oh, come on. Yes. Budweiser would be more than welcome on this. I mean, granted, I'll still drink the craft brew in my hand, but I'll just put a nice Budweiser label over it.
Yeah, okay. It's very interesting. All right. Here's some interesting news. Again, Fox has the 2018-2022 World Cup. ESPN's obviously got this year's World Cup. This is the last one for a while. They do a very good job. The 2010 World Cup was a fantastic presentation of the sport. And to sort of augment their coverage this year, this is something that people have long been asking for. And we've got a couple of the 30 for 30 series that were about soccer, at least the one that everybody knows.
I remember the 99ers, and I remember the two Escobars.
And the two Escobars, right. So there are a couple of notable examples. And ESPN is going all in with 30 for 30 ahead of the 2010 World Cup. They're going to premiere a new series in April. Let's see. This will be ESPN 30 for 30 Soccer Stories, mix of standalone feature-length and 30-minute-long documentary films from award-winning group of filmmakers telling compelling narratives from around the international, blah, 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 blah. Now, the issue here for American soccer fans is that there's no American content. This is not. Now, look, 99ers we got, and the two Escobars is half about, it's partly about the U.S.
Okay, so off the top of your head, can you name a compelling U.S. soccer 30 for 30 topic?
Well, okay, look, and I'm gonna go ahead and
that is equal to that of Hillsborough.
No. Okay, wait a second. Hold on.
I'm just saying, I don't know that they're not picking they're picking pretty big stories.
Not create a false equivalency here. I'm not going to tell you that there's an American topic that is equal to Hillsborough. I'm not saying that, and I'm not even going to complain that much. You haven't even let me get to it yet. I'm just saying that. Don't you think that it would be nice if there was one thrown in the mix? Here's your topics, just in case you haven't seen these yet. Hillsborough, as mentioned by Jared DuBois, that'll be one of the feature lengths. White, Blue, and White, directed by Camillo Antolini, will be feature length, and it's about a couple of Argentinian players who went to England back when that wasn't a thing and played for Spurs, and then kind of got caught up in the Falklands War, which was a dumb thing that they did, that Argentina and England had. Then you're going to get a 30-minute film about Garrincha, a 30-minute film about Barbosa, a Brazilian goalkeeper named Barbosa, in the 1950 World Cup. Ceasefire Massacre, which is about Northern Ireland and Ireland playing each other. The Opposition, which is about a military coup in Chile and soccer. The Mysteries of the Jules Rimet Trophy, which is obviously about the World Cup trophy. Maradona 86. Okay, there you go. And then there's a bunch of vignettes as well. Okay, so look, none of those are topics I'm saying that are unworthy. I'm just saying, like, can't we get a story about the '94 team? I
think ESPN's been pretty smart about their soccer content so far, and I think this is. Listen, if Americans really cared that much about American stories or American themes in soccer, MLS's ratings would be higher. They don't care. They just want to watch high quality entertainment. That's why the EPL gets better ratings than MLS.
I didn't mention MLS, and MLS is doing their own thing with MLS Plus, and hopefully we get some more quality stuff out of them, like on that epic playoff game.
Listen, maybe they could have put a documentary together on the USA over England 1950 World Cup. Maybe that's the one they could have done. Something it's World Cup driven, US and England in it.
I got a phone call.
Maybe they could have done.
James on Twitter, Nobius on Twitter mentions Freddie Adu, but I think that kind of has to wait a little bit longer, unfortunately, as much as I would love it. Or at least you could go back. You could tell the story of
a great 10-minute beginning of that movie. The rest of it sucks.
No. You could do an hour just on the hype that was Freddie Adu in 2004. That would be a fascinating 30 for 30, and don't pretend it wouldn't be. 480, you're on the air.
Hi, I just have a topic like that I would really want to see be turned into a 30 for 30. That is like just all like the Americans, I guess, like interviewing all the foreign American, like Ernie Stewart, like the Dutch. I know it's Dutch, but like Americans we have. I think that could be interesting, but I don't know. Like
I like that idea. I'd like to go even broader with it. I just think the concept of dual nationality picking across the world, like players that have gone across nationalities overall, not just American and German, but any country, like where big high profile guys have had to make that decision and what goes behind it.
Thanks for the call, man. I think I like his. I see what you're saying. You could obviously broaden it, especially because it's a big issue. But I like his idea because you could actually focus on the guys who were the builders of American soccer at a time when there wasn't a lot of depth, when there wasn't a lot of talent.
Thomas Dooley's, Ernie
Stewart. Yeah, those guys
Roy Wegerle.
Yeah, crucial to the way that the Americans are able to sort of get started and be a little bit quicker to some milestones than maybe they otherwise would have been.
I think we just became producers on a 30 for 30.
Well, let me just say that Abram, what's Abram's last name?
Chamberlain?
Yeah, Abram Chamberlain on Twitter, Mind of Abram on Twitter, He's been doing little faux trailers, the 30 for 30s on YouTube. One of them, Freddie Adu. One of them, Harks versus Ronaldo, which I think would be fascinating. Like, obviously these aren't real 30 for 30.
I think that one belongs on Lifetime.
Well, I mean, I think the story of what happened in '98 would be interesting to tell. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's a couple.
What would the name of it be? Through balls?
I don't know. Do you deserve one, or am I cheapening it a little bit? I think I'm cheapening it.
If anyone cheapened it, it was me.
352, you're on the air.
Hey, this is Scott from Florida.
What's up, Scott?
Hey, I was just calling to see, this may be old news, but I just saw that Ian Dark is calling the next World Cup.
He is the lead voice, as opposed to Martin Tyler being the lead voice. So he will take the high-profile games and the U.S. games, I believe.
Okay, gotcha. So is Taylor Twellman his secondary, or do we know who that is yet?
I imagine Taylor Twellman.
He has been for the entire World Cup qualifying cycle so far.
Well, I believe Taylor Twellman will probably be in the booth with him for USA games. I don't know what they'll do for those other.
He'll probably get like Shaka Hislop's or someone like that for other games, something like along those lines. Maybe even like a Robbie Earl or something. I don't know who they're going to get. But
Robbie Earl's an NBC guy.
I contracted NBC though. Now he is, but
right.
Can I put a name in?
Sure.
Ray Hudson.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, look, I don't know that ESPN is going to go to that. Well, thanks for the call.
Well, here's the thing about Ian Dark. He's actually a little bit broader than the normal play-by-play guys. He actually will kind of go casual from time to time, and I think you can't go casual if you got a guy like Ray Hudson next to you. That's why he's someone that's very. Phil Shane is very straight in the way he calls games, because he knows he has to be because of the person sitting to his side. But if you remember back to the last 2010 World Cup, it was John Harks calling the games with. Ian Dark. So I see Taylor Twellman doing the same thing for ESPN for the U.S. games in 2014.
Area code 732, you're on the air.
Yeah, this is Tawan from Edmonton.
What's up, man?
I have a great idea for 30 series.
Yeah.
The Cosmos.
The original Cosmos?
Yeah.
They already got a documentary. It's called Once in a Lifetime, and it's fantastic. I don't think you can do any better than that.
It's not ESPN, but yeah.
No, it's not. What I'm saying is if 30 for 30 decided to go back and do the Cosmos, they're essentially trying to recreate Once in a Lifetime. I don't know that that's worth their effort.
All right. What about the entire league in ASL back in the day?
They did one on the USFL, which was really good, Jared, 30 for 30. NASL lasted for 17 years or whatever. I mean, it wasn't the same. When it started, it was far from what it was when it ended, in terms of what they were trying to do and the money being spent and everything else. But yeah, you could probably do a fascinating documentary on sort of the lifespan of the NASL. Yeah,
I got a ESPN 15 for 15. It's just not as good as normal for 30s for 30s, and that's the rise of podcast in the American media soccer coverage.
Soccer podcast documentary. That's what we need. That would be fascinating viewing. The world.
Oh yeah, just a bunch of dudes that aren't shaven talking into mics all the time.
Yeah, no, I think
and/or hello.
That would be fantastic. Dan on Twitter's got one, the house Lamar built, which would obviously be, about.
I don't think Lamar Nagel's that good yet.
No, the Columbus Crew starting the soccer specific stadium trend with Crew Stadium the way that he did in 1999. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that rises, like you said, that rises to the 30 for 30 level, but. And again, I'm not. Look, if MLS, if ESPN wants to take on the soccer world and take on these subjects, I get it. I mean, I think that there's a bit of a theme here.
I think one thing people don't think about anymore, they think of ESPN as an American network. That's all they think about ESPN anymore, because it originated here. ESPN is on cable providers all over the world, and their content is regurgitated all over the world.
It's still an American product. I mean, let's not pretend that it's some kind of international with.
But let's also not to pretend that they don't have value in creating content that serves an entire world's populace, not just American.
And again, I'm not talking about I'm not saying here, give me 4 different things on MLS or 4 different things on American soccer, or go back and do the 1950 World Cup again, or do do the team in '86.
Maybe do I wouldn't mind seeing like a Bethlehem Steel kind of one or something like that.
Yeah, you could do a whole American Soccer League thing from back in the day. You could do the Soccer Wars, which is what ultimately killed those teams in the early 20s when when there was like a split with U.S. Soccer over the U.S. Open Cup. You could probably tell us. Now, that's a little more difficult because of the amount of time that has passed, but I think it would be fine. That kind of stuff needs to be done. Whether or not 30 for 30 or ESPN decides that it's worth it in the first round is probably unlikely. So I'm okay. Again, I'm okay with this.
I am interested to know, though, if we ever talk to someone that was in the production for ESPN 30 for 30 down the road, I would really be interested to know if there was somewhere on the whiteboard of ideas, a couple American ones, and why they lost out to other ones. That would interest me.
That would be it. I mean,
and what they were.
Just as kind of a representative, I read them all out, but here's a representative. This is the synopsis for the one about Chile. In the wake of the 1973 military coup in Chile, American-backed dictator Augusto Pinochet transformed Santiago's National Stadium into a concentration camp where political opponents were tortured and assassinated. Only months later, that same stadium was scheduled to host a decisive World Cup qualifier between Chile and the Soviet Union. Despite protests, FIFA's own investigation, and the Soviets' eventual boycott, the Chilean team still played the game as planned, qualifying for the 1974 World Cup on a goal scored against no one. That's a fascinating story. I mean, it's an interesting story. That's the kind of high-minded stuff you're going to get, which is, again, I'm not complaining about ESPN doing it. I'm saying, I'd like to see it at some point. Let's take on some American subjects. That's all.
Well, I'm pretty sure that no matter what ESPN's quality of programming, this level they set for 30 and 30, they can make anything. They're watching goalposts dry somehow, like entertaining. It's an amazing series. I'm just happy that maybe my expectations are too low. That I'm just stoked the soccer's getting 6 of them.
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, you really can't look a gift horse in the mouth when it comes to this stuff, right? I mean, it goes back to the TV deal. If Fox and ESPN, and Fox is going to drive this, if they want to give you $70 million right now for a product that draws 0.1 ratings, then you say thank you, sir, and you take the cash, and then you go put it into your product and you make the product better. All right, a national team note here that I hadn't mentioned. This news came out today. I guess I wasn't even aware, Jared, that Klinsmann was supposed to cut down his 26-man roster to
23. I do remember reading that now, and he decided not to do it and took all 26 guys. But real quick before we get this, can I just tell you that the coolest thing I saw in U.S. soccer recently, and maybe they owe it to us, maybe they owe this to us, maybe we are driving content on U.S. soccer.
What was
the fact that there's a clip showing him, the Jurgen Klinsmann flying to practice in a helicopter. And the fact that they're going to do a special on that, like there'll be some kind of there's like a 30-second teaser right now for something they're going to be doing about Jurgen Klinsmann taking a helicopter to practice.
Get to the chopper! Are you serious? Okay,
we are driving content in America.
I haven't now. I have an even better 30 for 30.
You haven't seen it?
No, I haven't seen it yet. We need a 30 for 30 on Jurgen Klinsmann and his helicopter. 661, you're on the air.
Yes, hello.
What's up, man?
Hey guys, really love the show. Love what you guys are doing.
Appreciate it.
Anyway, my question is about. I don't know if you guys were talking about how Americans are getting discovered. My question is why isn't there any European team isn't looking for or can't say they can't find American talent, even though MLS you can find any video on any American, and then yet all these other places from little places like Africa, they have all these great players. That's just my question.
Okay.
So you think it's the issue of scouting and seeing the talent, or is it, in my mind, it's an issue of developing talent? And once we develop talent enough, we'll become on those countries, those continents.
Let me say this. For the rules about leaving the country of your origin have changed fairly recently in the last couple of years. It used to be, if you were 13, you could go and join whatever academy, and kind of without any real problem. Now, your parents have to go with you if you're under 18. They have to get jobs and set themselves up in a foreign country and everything else. So the European clubs are scouting here. That's not the issue, I don't think.
Is the caller still on the line, Jason?
Yeah, he's still there.
A real quick question for you, caller. Are you aware of the fact that Jovan Karowski, Kenny Cooper, and Jonathan Spector were all in Manchester United's development academy before this rule change? We had 3 Americans there.
Yeah, look, just because none of them have sort of exploded and become stars yet, doesn't mean it's not happening. Now, I don't want to get into the reasons why none of them have exploded and become stars yet, but European teams are starting to look to the United States more and more And there's also ways, in some cases, it's kind of ways around it. They're looking for kids that have European passports already. There are certainly people looking to the U.S. as a place to find new and upcoming talent. Now, whether or not they're going to grab them out of MLS is a different thing, because we're talking, a lot of clubs want to grab a kid at 13, teach them their way of soccer, and then either make them into a senior team player or sell them at some point. Whereas MLS, you're dealing with a professional product. It's kind of
and MLS is just now putting its hat into the ring for that. Look at guys like, listen, if Cruz Azul ends up buying Jose Villarreal or buying Michael Farfan, then MLS has kind of developed that part of their game.
There is that, yes. You got anything else, man?
No, man. That was my question, man. Keep up the good work, guys.
Appreciate it. I got a little confused as to his question. He kind of rambled around a couple of different things, but I think that's what he was asking. Look, I have a policy about talking about the kids that are like under 17 or 18 who are playing or doing their thing in camps or in academies overseas.
You feel that if you speak their name like Beetlejuice, their bad fortunes will appear.
No, I just don't think that they don't. I don't think that they need any more attention, and I don't think they need that attention.
The reason they need attention is because it's so few and far between in America. If we're like any other country, we're not talking about them because there's so many of them.
But I'm going to call this the lesson of Freddie Adu. Gather around and let me tell you the lesson of Freddie Adu. You don't let yourself get all worked up over the hype over some kid who's at Barcelona, because if he doesn't pan out, it becomes a referendum on the entire American soccer thing, and I'm done with that. I don't need one kid at La Masia to become a referendum on American soccer, because he's not. He's one kid, and I wish him the best, and I hope he becomes a star. But we don't need to talk about him when he's 11 or 12. We'll talk about him when he's 18 and he makes his first team debut, right?
Yeah, I get. Yeah, I totally get it. If you never want to get excited about something and only get on the listen, there's something. Every guy. Why do we play franchise mode? Why do we play FIFA franchise mode or Football Manager franchise mode? Because we wanted to be the ones that develop and to be a part of talent growing.
Okay, now again, Jared DuBois likes him young. We know this. I have the same issue with the way that American sports talk about recruiting. It's just all kind of unseemly.
It's a product of our culture too, Jason, where everything is now. The fact we have to wait, I can't wait 5 years I want to celebrate a kid now.
But he doesn't matter.
And then forget about him in 6 months.
He matters as a symbol. He doesn't matter as a player. I guess if you want to talk about him as a symbol, fine. Talk about him as a symbol. But you could just say the 11-year-old kid at Barcelona or the 12-year-old kid at Barcelona. You don't have to go and reference his name every 5 seconds, because, again...
Ben something. That's all I know. Ben something. I don't know his last name. If you asked me 6 months ago, I would have known. I was all into him. Now I was like, we'll see if it pans out.
See, that's because, you have no attention span whatsoever.
Half the time I forget we have callers on the air. By the time they finish their call, I'm trying to remember what they said.
Oh, fantastic.
I'm busy Googling all sorts of weird things over here.
All right, we're coming down the stretch. Let's talk a little MLS coaching merry-go-round. It is starting to resolve itself, although now we have an opening in a place where we didn't expect to have an opening, say, a month ago, Jared. Oscar Pareja is now officially the head coach of FC Dallas after making the move from the Colorado Rapids, where he did great, fantastic, amazing work in 2013.
Let me ask you a question regarding that. What does this make you feel about Oscar Pareja personally? Does it make you like him or not dislike him? What does it make you feel about Oscar Pareja to see him do this?
I think he pulled a dick move. I really do.
I feel the same way, dude.
I think that he wanted to go when the opportunity came and Hyman left that job. He obviously wanted to go home to Dallas. I think he handled it the wrong way. He obviously pushed his way out. Now, at the same time, if you're Colorado, you don't want a coach who doesn't want to be there. This is the same thing with players. You don't want to coach a player who doesn't want to be there, which is why Camilo's going to end up in Mexico, mark my words. And you don't want a coach who doesn't want to be there. So eventually it was going to resolve itself in Pareja and Dallas. I guess that this is as painless as it possibly could be, but now Colorado is without a coach. And who knows where they turn? In fact, I
think it's one of the most attractive coaching positions that's been in MLS in quite some time, because look what you're inheriting.
In terms of current talent on your senior roster, absolutely it is. It has to be.
It's like a coach coming in and you're starting, you walking into having the Fab Five from Michigan in the 90s. There's so much raw young talent there that someone else has already done the essential work for you. They've all planted the seeds. All you got to do is water the garden and not step on it, and you could be in a really good position. So I don't know who the guy's going to be, but I kind of agree with you. If I'm a Dallas player, I'm going to have a hard time really trusting Oscar Pareja.
I don't know about that. I mean, he is a club legend. It is a homecoming.
Is he a club legend? Jason Christ is a club legend in Dallas. Is he a club legend?
He's a fan favorite.
Okay,
from his
I'll
time.
give you that.
He's a fan favorite.
For a team that no longer exists, the Dallas Burn.
Yeah. Okay. So I overused the word legend. I apologize for that. He's not a legend. He is a.
I put him number 2 behind Jason Christ.
Okay, well then there you go. I think that Dallas will be fine. I don't know that. I mean, they've got some things working there. Well, this will be an interesting thing to see because we'll find out if Pareja caught lightning in a bottle in Colorado and got sort of lucky with the young kids. Although give him credit for getting them along. We'll find out if it was lightning in a bottle or if he is legitimately that good when he takes over a Dallas team that should have been better this year. I mean, let's be honest about it. They fell flat. They underachieved by a lot in 2000.
Well, especially when you look at where they started the season and the ridiculous start that they had. Okay, let me ask you. I'm going to give you a pick your poison real quick coaching style for the Colorado Rapids.
All right. Hit me.
Which coach, if you were the GM of Colorado, who would you rather pick to run your team? Robin Fraser, Jesse Marsh?
Ooh.
Both? I'll throw another one in there too. I'll give you the option of Pablo Mastroeni because he's been rumored lately.
Look, I love Pablo Mastroeni, but he's not ready. I don't think I want to throw him into the mix, especially considering he had no thoughts of being a head coach right off the bat. This is not Jay Heaps, who spent a year doing TV. This is not Ben Olsen, who was an assistant and ended up in that job because they fired Analfo. This is not. That would be a shock to Mastro, even if he wants it now. This is not something he was mentally prepared for when he retired. I think I would go with Frazier. I mean, I just feel like
I would too.
Got the bearing, got the mentality. I think he's a very, very bright guy.
You got to feel he was hard done in Chivas. I mean, that guy was given a fool's errand with Chivas USA. And let's not forget, Robin Frazier, former Colorado Rapids player as well. So, I mean, he's got that going for him too. I would love to see Robin Frazier get that job.
Yeah, I mean, like, and the other thing that we haven't mentioned yet, and the reason that there is an opening in Colorado that it will not be filled by Wilmer Cabrera, who was Pareja second, is that Cabrera is going to go and coach Chivas USA now.
That's a good hire.
No, it is a good hire, and I hope that Wilmer does well. I mean, that whole thing is such a poison chalice. I mean, not to steal from our English.
He's a guy that can skirt that line they've been talking about for so long. He's a Latino that knows the American system, been involved in the American system. He's done the American youth. I mean, he knows these players that are in the league right now because a lot of them came up while he was a youth coach for the U.S. national team. So he's a good hire.
It would be amazing to see. I mean, I imagine that some of those that he'll may be able to leverage some of that. But there's also like it would be funny if all of a sudden Chivas USA became like the Colombian American team. I mean, we've seen an influx of Colombians anyway. It'd be funny if all of a sudden Wilmer is like Colombians, which, you know, after everything, all the controversy with Chivas and whether or not they were going to be the Mexican team in the USA and everything else, that would be funny. Not that I think that Wilmer is going to trade just on his Colombian roots. He's gonna try to put together the best team. So it's a fine hire. If you asked me, all right, so what jobs do we fill? And we've only got a couple minutes here. What jobs do we fill in 2013 so far? We got the one open in Colorado.
Yeah, well, the weird thing is the one that was rumored to be open never did, and that's the Montreal Impact job. Right as of right now, that job never opened up. I mean, there was rumors that it was going to be Nesta's job for the taking.
Well, no, they sort of went from one to the other with no break. Is that what you're saying? They went from they went from Schalabom to Klopas in like the same press conference.
Yeah, there was never that weird like open time where like it was never. It was just odd. It seems like if you're with Schalabom, that means that deal was done before you even had your papers.
All right, we're out of time. Right? Like 2 minutes left. I think we hit everything on the rundown, which may be the first in the history of that may be a first in the history of the show. Maybe. I mean, I have some other stuff here. Gouchenier was signed for Sheffield Wednesday. That's a 2-second conversation. The fact he hasn't retired or come to MLS.
I would have put money a couple months ago of him coming back to DC United, and it didn't happen.
Did not happen. Well, we'll see what happens throughout the end of this year. They may hold on to their number one allocation until he comes in the summer. I mean, it's possible. He's not going to get a playing time to be a World Cup option. He hasn't played.
Another real quick one coming out of Europe. Jeff Cameron with a solid day for Stoke. It's hard it's hard for a right back to have a good day when your team gives up 4 goals at the end. Was it 4 or 5? They end up with 5.
They lost 5-3.
I can't believe how much he was involved in the attack.
He was up. He was pushed very, very high, and we'll see what that means in terms of how Jurgen Klinsmann views him, because he's not a center back. He is a right back, and you need a right back who plays that position on a regular basis. There's one right in front of you. Will Jeff Cameron get starts at the World Cup? I'd be very curious to see. All right, we are out of time. That's it. Please go to iTunes, ratings and reviews, NASN.TV. All of the streams are back up. Stitcher, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, everything's good, right? We're good.
Roku app coming too.
Roku app coming too, and I think that's it. And please check out Soccer Mornings Monday through Friday, 10 to 11:30 a.m. Eastern. Anything else?
That's it.
All right, we'll talk to you guys then. Wednesday. Bye.